Hi everyone, and welcome to Fairy Tales in 5 Minutes. As always, if you want to skip straight to the good stuff, I will leave a timestamp in the comments down below for you so that you can get right to the fairy tale. But if you're new or you want the reminder, here's how this works. I have a list of words, concepts, and phrases that often pop up in these types of stories. I generate 5 words off of that list by rolling a die, and then I give myself 1 hour to write a fairy tale that incorporates all 5 of the words. The final product is what you are seeing before you today. Just as a reminder, anytime one of those words from the list pops up for the first time in the story, it will also pop up somewhere around here on the bottom of your screen. So keep an eye out for those, and away we go. Queen Evangeline's daughter Guinevere was born in the middle of the worst snowstorm the kingdom had seen in nearly a century. At once, there were whispers that this was a bad omen. And things had been bad enough with the king's recent disappearance. If the storm was an omen, though, it didn't make its meaning clear. When no sign of their sovereign had reached the people within the first year of his daughter's birth, they stopped worrying that a tragic fate might soon be revealed. But the gossip didn't so much fade as simply transform. The queen was doing an admirable job of ruling in her husband's stead. There were, however, 2 strange things about her. The first, her daughter was with her at nearly every waking moment. The second, every day she wore a large mirrored locket into which she regularly glanced. Still, her preoccupation with her reflection didn't translate into any lack of awareness. In fact, she seemed constantly informed of everything that was happening. Oddities aside, she was doing far better than anyone had ever expected of her. But the king had been gone a long time now. She could not continue running things with no heir but a girl. Her advisors were constantly reminding her of the line of succession and the necessity of producing a male heir. She ignored this until they invited the king's brother to the castle. "It will not end well," she said flatly, touching up her lipstick in the mirror and letting it fall back over her heart. "But fine." So, 2 years to the day after the king's disappearance, his brother arrived in a stagecoach so elaborate that people stopped in the street to watch him pass. He married Evangeline not long later. The thing about the newly crowned king was that he had no interest in politics, as he was too busy being enraptured by the lavish parties and expensive trinkets to which he was now entitled. Simon never minded handing over as many of his responsibilities as he possibly could to Evangeline, so for the most part, she took care of things, and the kingdom remained prosperous. But he was fickle. She knew that eventually the tides would turn. And turn they did, right around Guinevere's 13th birthday. There had been a feast, and Simon had spent the entire evening catering to every whim of the young and beautiful princess from a neighboring kingdom. The whispers began almost at once. The family was looking to marry the girl off, wishing to increase the size of their kingdom. This was no surprise to Evangeline, nor was it any shock that Simon had shown her any interest. But it wasn't as though he could do anything about it. Except that Evangeline couldn't get her husband's flirtation out of her mind. So one night, just before saying goodnight to Guinevere, she instinctively lifted her locket to her eyes. As always, the images inside the mirror were blurred, but she could see 2 female figures collapsing and a man behind them. She gasped, falling back into a nearby chair. "Mother, what's wrong?" Guinevere demanded. "Are you sick?" "We have to leave." "What? Why?" "I can't tell you here, but I promise I will. Take nothing. We have to go." Unaccustomed to the panic in her mother's voice, Guinevere obeyed at once. "Be calm," Evangeline whispered. "We'll tell the guards I'm taking you somewhere for your birthday." If she didn't already know that something strange was afoot, the fact that no guard insisted upon accompanying them would have been all the indication she needed that she was no longer a priority, although at the moment this was something of a relief. They set out on foot, and as they walked, Evangeline began to explain. "The locket," she said softly, "was a gift from a fairy who attended my wedding to your father. It was only a bauble," she said, "but a magic one. One that would allow me glimpses of the future. Never specifics, but images. When I looked into it tonight, I saw that we were in danger." I think that your uncle believes that if you and I were gone, he would be far more powerful. Well, can't you call on the fairy for help? Can't she, I don't know, wave her wand and cast a spell and make him go away? It isn't that sort of magic, darling, Evangeline said ruefully. I know I'm asking a lot, but I promise this is the best way to keep us safe. Despite her obvious worry, Guinevere nodded. I trust you. When it was discovered the next day that neither the queen nor the princess had returned from their late-night walk, Simon did an admirable job of acting frantic. Guards were punished. The grounds were searched. If the search was abandoned rather more quickly than was entirely appropriate, no one pointed it out. As for Evangeline and Guinevere, the life they carved out for themselves in a nearby village may have been far humbler than the one they left behind, but they wouldn't have traded it for anything. Well, I'm not sure that fun is quite the right word to describe this one, but I hope that you enjoyed it in any case. So before I go, let's get set up for next week, shall we? Let me just pull my list up. So, next week we will have treasure. We will have fairies. We will have fate. We will have a clock. And we'll have someone very handsome. So, not next week, but 2 weeks from now, our fairy tale will have those words in them. Next week's video is a little bit of a surprise, and I don't want to reveal it quite yet, so make sure that you subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss it. And in the meantime, please feel free to like and comment on this video, share it with anyone that you think would enjoy listening to it, and I will see you next time. Have a good week. Bye.